would tie them up under our chin. Let's take out our magnifying glass and put our thinking caps on under the title, Would You Pardon Me? Would you harbor me? Advent is a season of waiting. Of waiting for Jesus to fulfill his promise. A promise that he would come again after he had suffered the crucifixion and after he had been ascended, that he would come again on the day of the Lord. And on that great day, our enslaved forebears used to call it that great getting up morning. All things would become new. Everything that was out of joint is going to be put in its proper place. Those who sowed in tears will reap in joy. The first will be last, and the last will be first. We're waiting on the Lord to come and do what he had promised, such that we will see him again. The theme for the fourth quarter of the year for preaching and teaching here at Sojourner is the beauty of belonging. Belonging. And we can tell by the beauty of David's words here, or this person who wrote in David's style, that David believes he belongs to God. There's this beauty of belonging between the two of them when David turns and says, I give my life to you. I trust you with all of me. We belong together. So it's to you I reach out. It's to you I cry out. None other. Take all of me. Protect all of me. Care for all of me. I belong to you. You are mine and I am yours. There's a beauty in belonging. Knowing that no matter what happens, you are not alone in the world. No matter what you go through, you do not do so all alone. There's a certain beauty in belonging. And just as David cries out to the Lord and says, take all of me, we who wait on the second coming, the advent of Jesus, are in many ways coming from the same place, a beauty of belonging, that we belong to Jesus and Jesus belongs to us. And we believe that when he makes a promise, he keeps his promise. During the Advent season, we're looking around to see if it's promise coming. On the great and mighty day of the Lord, where all things will be made new. The suffering will come to an end. The rejection will be replaced by welcome. The tears will be dry from our faces, and we will walk in a warmer sun. There's a certain beauty in belonging. There's a second beauty in belonging. The first one is our relationship with God, this relationship of belonging. I give my life to you. But there's a second relationship where we can experience the beauty of belonging, and that happens in community with other humans. With families, or with chosen family, with sacred communities, where we know that we are seen, where we know that we are welcome, where we know that we are respected, shoulders to lean on and ears to hear. Those who recognize our very goodness in a world that knows nothing about that. As they used to say in that show where everybody knows your name and your story. There's a certain beauty in belonging, not just in the relationship with the divine, but in the relationship with other people, other human beings, other people who love us, respect us, accept us, and help us. During Advent, we remember that we belong to Jesus. We wait for Jesus to come for us. We hope we can see Jesus coming for us. But there's a wrinkle in the beauty of belonging with other humans, especially when we look at the issue of HIV and AIDS. Here we know that there are many in our lives who do not, who have not experienced the beauty of belonging in community. We have preached against them, saying AIDS was God's judgment on homosexuality. What a terrible thing to do, but we have done that. And in some cases, we still do. We have let the issue of HIV and AIDS slip off of our radar. We don't think about it anymore, and we don't talk about it anymore. And we consign those who are living with HIV and AIDS to the margins, to the shadows, to the we don't see you places in our lives. We don't hear you places. We don't think about you places in our lives, where they cannot experience the beauty of belonging because of stigma, because of our uncomfortability of discussing issues of sex and sexuality and sexual identity in church spaces. There are those among us who God sees as very good that do not experience the beauty of belonging because we are turned away from them. Well, maybe it's not such an issue as it once was. Maybe it's proper that we don't spend too much time on it. Maybe it's not a thing. Well, the statistics are saying it is still a thing. Using statistics from 2022, African American people, still about 12% of the population of the United States, are now 39% of newly diagnosed people with HIV. 12% of the population, 39% of new cases. 40% of those who die due to HIV are Black people. 12% of the population, 40% of those who die due to the disease. And we are the population in the country with the lowest awareness of our HIV status, which means we're not getting tested. And testing should be a thing at all age groups. Not just for young people, all age groups. In senior housing, they're seeing a lot of new cases. People are active. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't you need to know the status? The highest population at risk are African American men, who are 8 times more likely than white men to contract HIV. Black women are the second group that is most likely to contract the disease. It's still a thing. It's not one that we are paying attention to. I still remember, I will never forget, maybe the second or third year that I started serving here, I went to a training for pastors, encouraging us to have some aspect of our ministry addressing the issue of HIV/AIDS in the African American community. We had a series of training at the Open Library, and in one of the trainings, just before we were dismissing, there was a question and answer period, and a Black woman took the microphone and said, I just want you pastors to pray for me because I'm newly diagnosed with HIV and I can't tell my family and I can't tell my church. She was not experiencing the beauty of being alone. She felt isolated and alone because of the stigma in our community, the stigma in our churches, the stigma in our families around people living with the HIV disease, with AIDS, living with AIDS. Maybe the crisis of HIV/AIDS in our community is a crisis of belonging. What if you had someone to talk to about what you are living with? What if you didn't hear sermons from preachers condemning people living with AIDS? What if we stop hating on queer folks from the church pulpits and sermons? What if we said, like God says, that we are all very good? Would the rates go down? Would there be more tested? Would there be more alive? Could be. Maybe we should try and see what can happen when all of God's children live in the beauty of belonging, not just to God, but also to their community, their family, their church. Will you harbor me? The question that sister asked was, will you pray for me? But I think she was really asking, will you harbor me? Can I find a safe place with you? Will you welcome me? Can I worship with you all? Will you love me? Will you help me talk to my children? My family? Will you harbor me? Can I slide in a place of welcome and anchor here? There's a song written by Maria Barnwell, one of the former members of Sweet Honey of the Rock. I want to share the lyrics with you as we come to our close of our time today. The song is called Will You Harbor Me? Here are the lyrics. Would you harbor me? Would I harbor you? Would you harbor me? Would I harbor you? Would you harbor a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, a heretic, convict, or spy? Would you harbor a runaway woman or child, a poet, a prophet, a king? Would you harbor an exile or a refugee, a person living with AIDS? Would you harbor a Tubman, a Garrett, a Truth, a fugitive, or a slave? Would you harbor a Haitian, Korean, or Czech, a lesbian, or a gay? Would you harbor me? Would I harbor you? Would you harbor me? Would I harbor you? Oh, this is such an interesting wrinkle in our text today, which is why I said we need to get out our magnifying glass and put our thinking caps on. Because David does something here so interesting. Because he says, do not forget those who have caused me harm. Did you notice that? Did you notice that? Did you notice that? It talks about the treacherous one. Say, don't let my enemies rejoice over me. For that matter, don't let anyone who hopes in you be put to shame. Okay, David, cool. Instead, let those who are treacherous without excuse be put to shame. And then after this, he turns around and says, but don't forget what I did. But please forget what I did. Don't remember the sins of my youth or my wrongdoing. Hold it. Remember wrongdoing over here, but don't think about it over here. And interestingly enough, I happen to be over here. So David wants to say, here's the ones you should forgive, and here's the ones you should not. And I'm on the forgive side. Forgiveness is for the undeserving. And if anyone can be forgiven, everyone should be forgiven. That's part of the beauty of belonging. That even when we have lived in ways that are not on the path, that are contrary to our very goodness, none of us should be able to point out who should and should not be forgiven. That talk of God's judgment with A's is ridiculous. Because none of us can say who is deserving of God's judgment. The beauty of life is that we are waiting on Jesus. We are looking for him to come and make the world right. But while we are waiting for him, we are also doing things. It's like when you are a gardener and you're planting and you want something to grow, you put the seeds in, you don't walk away and not do anything, hoping that everything's going to be fine. You're waiting and you're watering. You're waiting and you're exposing to sunlight. You're waiting and you're removing insects. You're doing something, you're waiting, and you're also creating spaces of belonging for new things to grow. You wait on the Lord, and you be of good courage. Oh, this doesn't quite sense that's the Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Wait on the Lord and be of good courage. He will strengthen thy heart. Through the beauty of belonging, of opening the door to those who have been pushed away, to saying yes to those who have been told no, to embracing the members of our lives who are living with AIDS and HIV. Creating space where all whom God loves are welcome here. This is the beauty of belonging. This is the word of God. Will you hearken for the people of God? Will you hearken? Thanks be to God. Will we harbor you then? If you are looking for a church home where you will experience the beauty of belonging, we know that you can experience that here. Where we can harbor one another. We say Maria Barlow asked the question, will you harbor me, will I harbor you? It's a reciprocal relationship that we believe is faith in community. You can't do Christianity out there by yourself, occasionally watching from your couch or your bedroom. You need to be in community, a common unity with other believers that helps you to grow in faith and in trust in God. That deepens your relationship with Jesus Christ. That makes you a catalyst for God's will in the world. That's what this is about. That's what it's for. That's why we're here. We would love for you to join with us, to make us better at what we are attempting to do. So be in touch with me. Call, text, 510-691-5204, 510 area, 691-5204. Or you can email. teachelder@gmail.com. teachelder@gmail.com. Title line, will you harbor me? Let's talk about it. Let's pray about it. Let's be about it.